Hey everyone, welcome back to Sham's Makeup Artistry. Today it's time for me to share my 2018 top favorites of foundations. I'm actually going to split it up into a few different categories. So I'm going to start with foundations, and there are a couple of foundations that I've been using throughout the 2018. Mostly there are like all-time favorites, and some of them are pretty new in the 2018. And if you guys have been with me for some time, you know that there are a couple of foundations that I just die for. So without a further ado, let's just get started. I do not have many of them. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. I'm going to randomly share them and then also share why I am in love with this foundation for the 2018. So the very first one has to be my Dior Forever foundation. I am in the shade 045 when it comes to this particular foundation. This is a perfect makeup everlasting wear pore refining effect with sunscreen and SPF of 35. For me, I personally feel this foundation is like a medium to full coverage foundation depending on the texture of your skin. I personally use only half to 1 pump of this foundation on daily basis. And this foundation is my most reach out for foundation for the entire 2018. I'm into my second bottle and I've already repurchased my backup for the third one because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be done with the second bottle as well. With this foundation, I had no issues because I do have a combination to dry skin. It gives me a beautiful glow. At the same time, it gives a beautiful coverage, and at the very same time, it lasts me throughout the day. Even on hot heat weather, I just have to set my T-zone and I'm good to go for the entire day. I personally would recommend this foundation for combination to dry skin girls. For those of you who have oily skin but you do not mind to have glow over your face, you may want to try out this one. It will definitely work out for you if you set it well. But during the colder months, I personally believe that every one of us would love this foundation because this foundation gives you a beautiful glow to your face. And on colder months, even though you have oily skin, it will tend to look a little bit more drier. So you will definitely enjoy this one. And of course, I personally believe that every one of us love to have like a glowy, shiny, healthy looking skin, and it looks very flawless when you put it on the skin, and it's easily blendable. I personally like using my Real Techniques face brush. Sometimes I do like to use my beauty blender to apply this foundation. Evenly, it works fine. So this has to be one of my most favorite foundation ever. I believe it's not only for 2018, but I personally found myself this foundation this year, 2018. The next foundation that I've been loving and I've been reaching out for the 2018 has to be from Becca Cosmetics, and this is their Ultimate Coverage 24-hour foundation, and I am in the shade Cafe. This is a full coverage foundation, and I personally would recommend this for those of you who have combination to oily skin or oily skin, or combination to dry skin, however you want to make it work. If you love a full coverage foundation, you will totally enjoy this foundation. It doesn't look dry on the skin. It's not like a matte finish. It does have like a sheen glow finish to it, but it lasts throughout the day, and you do not need tons of this foundation. You only need like maybe like half palm or lesser than a half palm to get the coverage that you need. And I personally feel that with this foundation, I love using my beauty blender because it blends into the skin much more better than a brush. I feel that using a brush, it kind of like sits on the top and it doesn't melt into the skin. If that does make sense to you guys. Sometimes certain foundation tend to just sit on top of the skin. They do not like melt and end up looking like skin. With this one, that's the problem if you use a brush. Some of us may be comfortable using a brush with this foundation, but I personally felt that a beauty blender works really well with this foundation. And on the days that I want something like a full coverage and then I want my makeup to last all day long, and on a day that I need not to worry like I need to touch up my skin or I need to block my skin, this is something that I'd go for. The next one that I'd like to share with you is from BareMinerals, and this is their Bare Pro foundation. It's a performance Advanced Wear Liquid Foundation with an SPF of 20. Just like the Becca Cosmetics, this is again the Ultimate Coverage 24 Hours Foundation. This is also a full coverage foundation, and I am in the shade Nutmeg 24. I will definitely list down all the details on the description bar below. And for this foundation, I really love this foundation. Again, it's another full coverage foundation. It doesn't look matte on the skin, because for me, I do not prefer foundations that look really matte on the skin. Having a combination to dry skin, I kind of prefer something which looks a little bit glowy on the skin, but not like an oily feeling on the skin. With this one, it gives a beautiful finish to the skin. The only problem that I have with this foundation is if I continue to use this foundation like 5 days in a week or 7 days in a week, I tend to get bumps on my skin, like tiny little bumps starts appearing on my skin. That's the only problem I had with this foundation. I don't know why. Maybe my skin is sensitive to the product or ingredients that are in this foundation, which I kind of like read on Sephora's website. The ingredient doesn't really mention that something that would really feel sensitive to my skin, because with some of the Nars foundation, they do have like turmeric or something, which kind of like I am very sensitive to it and I start breaking out. But with this one, I don't know what it is. I just have like bumps over my skin. I do not really break out into like big huge pimples or anything like that, but the tiny little bumps with white fillings in it, which I kind of fear that I'll break out. Now that my skin is clear, I'm very careful with the products that I use over my face area. So with this foundation, I kind of be very careful. I use it like 2 days or 3 days or maybe occasionally. But for those of you who do not have sensitive skin and you want something full coverage at the same time looking very beautiful and natural, you may want to try out the BareMinerals Bare Pro Foundation. The next one that I have here is from Nars. This is the only Nars foundation that has been doing me justice for 2018, because like I've mentioned earlier, I do break out with most of the Nars foundation, but this one has been doing me good. And this is the Nars Natural Radiant Long Wear Foundation, and I am in the shade Tahoe. I really love this foundation. With all the foundations that I'm sharing with you guys today, you do not need tons of it like to apply it over your face area. I personally do not like to apply heavy foundations over my face area. And with this one, you only need like a half pump. Most 1 pump of this foundation would do it good. It gives a beautiful coverage. It gives a beautiful glow to the face, and it lasts us all day long. The only negative thing that I personally felt about this foundation has to be it transfers on the clothing. If you're wearing something light or if you're wearing collared, or of course like these days I love wearing turtleneck because it's cold, it kind of transfers on the clothing. That's the only thing. And sometimes when you hug someone and say hi, you kind of like give a tap or a kiss, I kind of feel like, oh my god, I think my foundation has transferred to their clothing. So I feel so guilty. This foundation totally gets me into the guilty kind of feeling. So that's the only negative thing about this foundation. Otherwise, it's a beautiful foundation, and I've been loving it for 2018. The next one has to be an oldie but a goodie, and I've been totally liking this for 2018. On the days that I want something on the go and I want something glowy at the same time give me the coverage that I need, I have reached out for this particular one. And it's not really like a foundation, it's actually a tinted moisturizer, and it's by Laura Mercier. And this one is the Laura Mercier's tinted moisturizer, and it's their oil-free version in an SPF of 20, and I am in the shade 10. If you have been with me forever on my channel, you know that my very second video here on YouTube was a review on this particular tinted moisturizer. I've been really loving this. This one is equivalent to a foundation. It gives you the best coverage that you need, and it gives you a beautiful coverage. You will have like a flawless looking skin with this particular tinted moisturizer, and you need not to worry to touch up throughout the day. I personally feel that it works for me throughout the day. It wears really well, and you do not need to work hard to get it blended into the skin. So if you're not a foundation person but you want something on your face, like you prefer tinted moisturizers, you may want to check out the Laura Mercier one. They last you forever. Now I have 3 more on my list. Let's move on to the next one. This one is a drugstore foundation and it's by Maybelline, and this one is their up to 24 hours foundation and it's their SuperStay full coverage foundation. I am in the shade Toffee Caramel. Most of the foundation that I've shared with you today, they do have a pump, so it makes it easy. When foundation comes with a pump, it just gets the job done on the go, and this one has to be another one that comes with a pump, and it's a drugstore foundation and it's totally affordable. This again, it promises a 24 hours wear. Of course, I've never worn foundation for 24 hours, but this foundation really wears so beautifully on my skin. Again, I'm in the shade 330 Toffee Caramel. This foundation is a long-lasting foundation. If you tend to have an oily skin or a combination skin, you will definitely love this foundation. For me, I did not find this foundation looking dry over my skin. Most of the full coverage foundations today that I've shared with you for the 2018, they do not dry my face. Having a combination to dry skin, I of course do not like my foundations to end up looking patchy over my skin. And none of this that I've shared with you does look dry over my skin. So that's the reason I love them even more. So this one has to be another favorite of mine. So if you're looking out for something at the drugstore, you may want to check out the Maybelline SuperStay Full Coverage Foundation. Again, I am in the shade 330. The next foundation that I like to share is a stick foundation, and it's by Lancome, and this is their Teint Idole UltraWear Makeup Stick Sunscreen Broad Spectrum of 21 All Day Color Wear and Comfort Foundation, and I am in the shade 450 Suede Neutral. I totally love this foundation, and when I'm on a rush, I want something really very quick, and stick foundations are the best. When you're in a rush, stick foundation has to be the best. I personally loved this foundation more during the summer months when it's really heaty, but you can use this foundation throughout the year. I do not find this foundation looking dry over my skin. Again, it's a stick formula which makes it so easy to work on the skin. You can use a brush, you can use a beauty blender. It gives a beautiful coverage, it doesn't dry the skin, and it lasts throughout the day. They do have a liquid formula. I personally feel the liquid formula will work better for oily skin girls. But for me, this formula itself was totally fine, and I would totally recommend it to any skin type. The last but not the least, from my vanity, for the 2018, the best foundation has to be Makeup Forever Ultra Stick Foundation. This again is another stick foundation, but I would personally recommend this foundation for those of you who have combination to dry skin. This foundation looks very glowy on the skin. At the same time, it kind of gets oily throughout the day for me on my T-zone area. So I would personally recommend this for those who have combination to dry skin. For oily skin girls, you may want to skip on this foundation during the summer heat months. But during the colder weather, you might enjoy this foundation because it does give a beautiful coverage to the face area. So I do hope that you enjoyed the best of foundation for 2018. There are more to come. I will do it part by part. So I hope that you'll be patient with me and make sure to subscribe to my channel to my very next one. Stay beautiful, gorgeous, and now. Give me a thumbs up, share all your love and support, and I'll see you guys again. Goodbye.